Hey, what's going on, JJ Crew? Today we're going to be taking a look at People Can Fly's new looter shooter, Outlanders. So, make sure to smash like, hit subscribe, and let me know your own impressions of the Outriders demo in the comments. Now, for a quick disclaimer, I would like to point out that I'm fairly burnt out on looter shooters / games as service games at the moment, but I will try to be as objective as I can. While I never finished Bulletstorm, I really enjoyed what I played of it. The over-the-top action and finishers, the irreverent humor, and the scoring system for kill streaks were all a breath of fresh air for the third-person shooter genre. Their Painkiller games were also well regarded as faithful callbacks to Doom and Wolfenstein, also with its own unique sense of humor and weapons. Unfortunately, I don't remember Gears Judgment reviewing that well. It was more like the arc of Origins before Gears of War, if that makes any sense. Overall though, People Can Fly has a pretty strong pedigree, so I was rather excited for their next major release. The Outlanders Demo has recently been released, so I decided to jump in and give some of my thoughts. The game begins very slowly, with a lot of exposition, setting up the stakes of humanity and the world of Enoch. The premise is you and your crew set off across space on a ship looking for a new Earth. Sounds pretty familiar, right? At first, I really like the fact that the game offers story conversations and sets itself up as an RPG, but so far I haven't found any conversations where you can really roleplay. It's mostly just setting up the world, giving character backstories, and developing plot. I haven't run it into any decisions quite yet where you can choose between good and evil, so to speak. The game also seems to be very tropey as well. We got the alien storms coming from Gears of War, and Anthem, the evil scientist dude without any kind of rationalization or redeeming qualities, who also happens to look a lot like a Quincy from Bleach. We got Ferris Goo from Prometheus, going in and infecting soldiers and drivers and random people. And it's all coming together on the world of Pandora, or I mean Enoch. I think you catch my drift. It's even implied that a zombie outbreak or something like that is what forced everyone off of Earth. So the writing so far has been a bit bland. There's not even really a sense of humor, which is what their previous game, Bulletstorm, was known for. On first impression, the game is trying to be very serious and edgy, and comes off as a bit generic and boring, at least in terms of the story. I mean, just look at this intro from the beginning of the game. You really had to add that damn in there. Oh wow, it's so edgy and dark. Also, did I mention the Shaky Cam? The performance already isn't great in cutscenes for whatever reason. Maybe it's that depth of field is a little bit too heavy, I'm not sure. But poor frames plus absurdly shaky cam makes watching cutscenes almost nauseating. I play VR games on the regular. Why they didn't just go for normal cinematic camera is beyond me. At least in Halo Reach, the head cam simulated the movement of another character, so it looked like you were there with the other Spartans. At least for the first hour of playing, we finally get to choose our powers, and this is where the game really starts to pick up. Though I still don't know what an Outlander is, or why they're so important. I'm assuming they're kind of like a Spectre from Mass Effect, or whatever the guy was from Mass Effect Andromeda, but just without the diplomatic privileges. So at some point, we get caught up in another alien storm and become an Altered, a being of unlimited power. Yep, it's not Outlanders that are the ones with the special powers, it's the Altered. Luckily, this is where the fun starts to kick in. I went for the Pyromancer, an Altered that has the ability to throw fire and heal himself by killing anyone who's burning from the flames. The gameplay is very fun and challenging to the point that you have to make use of your abilities to survive, rather than just relying on your weapons, which is how I prefer things. The AI is also decent enough to make things interesting. They do a good job of being aggressive and flanking you, so it doesn't just turn into a game of whack-a-mole where you're just shooting every head that pops up out of cover. The cover mechanics are also some of the best of any game that I've played recently. I've always had an issue in Division 2 with maneuvering around cover, and for whatever reason, it seems to work very well in this game. It's pretty similar to Gears of War. The only difference I've noticed is that sprint and going into cover are now separate inputs. Each of the weapons so far feel unique in their behavior. There's definitely a difference in terms of recoil patterns. One of the early weapons that I had made all the enemies explode on death, which was pretty fun. The boss battles also add some good variety to combat, with interesting mechanics and powers. They were a good challenge, taking usually 2 to 3 attempts to take down solo. I didn't get the chance to play co-op, so I don't have an idea for how things scale or if they even do, but the fact that crossplay is an option will be a great boon to the lifespan of this game. And as a streamer on PC, I know that I definitely appreciate it, as it will make playing with friends and chat a lot easier. The game is structured around the main story and side missions, so it definitely plays more like an RPG. The world tier system is also a great way to do difficulty and rewards, much like with Diablo, Division, or Borderlands. The game definitely seems to be more RPG than games as a service in terms of a structure. We'll have to see what kind of content there is to do late game. If it's just go back and play the same old story, I doubt I'll stick around for long post-campaign. But I'm also kind of fine with that. I don't really need my games to sustain me for years and years on end. For now, I'm definitely curious to see what I can do in terms of character builds, but I'd be lying if I said I was at all interested in the story. The main theme of the game is catchy enough, but that baseline of definitely gets overused to the point that it's almost a bit irritating to me. It just needs a greater sense of variety. The overall mix is done well enough. Walking around in the hub world, you can hear people working in the background, having conversations. It does a good job of bringing the world to life. Weapons and power sound nice and punchy without being overly base heavy. Though I can't say the same about the low health warning. The music isn't outstanding or anything. There isn't much in the way of sound cues, like at the end of a combat encounter, sort of like Gears of War, but it is serviceable. Overall, I'd say the game does feel fairly generic, and the world design is a bit bland, but for me, the most important aspect of a video game is the gameplay, and luckily, that is the best aspect of this game, by far. After playing it for about 3 hours, I'm still not completely sold on the game, but more than likely I'll be picking it up. I'm still interested in seeing more of the world and diving deeper into my character abilities, as well as encountering the different types of enemies. Luckily the demo is also free, so if you're on the fence, I'd highly recommend you check it out and come to your own conclusions. Like I said, I am a bit burnt out on the looter shooter genre, so I might be a bit biased against it. But I hope y'all enjoyed this first impression. Let me know your thoughts, and if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, just give me some feedback. Anyways, I hope to see y'all again. Have a great day, and see y'all next time. Bye.